Today is Tuesday, November the 13th, 2012. I'm Matthew T.G.
I'm Beth Peterson.
I'm Tony Casey. Welcome to the Techology Show, a weekly podcast featuring technology, theology, and everything in between. This is episode 180. So if you are watching live, you should notice that the in studio has had quite a facelift today. We've exchanged Heath for Beth Peters. No stranger to the show. This is, I think, your third time with us. So we told Beth today she's officially a guest host of the show. We even let her say her name. So I mean,
it's fancy.
Yeah,
official.
Yes. Also joining us today is Priscilla Hammond. She is a doctoral student of organizational leadership at Indiana Wesleyan University. She graduated from Southern Wesleyan University with the Master of Ministry degree. She holds other degrees in business as well. She serves as the Executive Assistant Director to Dr. Joanne Lyon, the General Superintendent of the Wesleyan Church. She was on staff at 12 Stone Church in the Atlanta metro area for 6 years. Also was at Skyline Wesleyan for 2.5 years. Priscilla, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
So this came about as, I think, the last time Beth was here, you sent me, I don't know, it was just some kind of follow-up email, and we found out that you're a mystery church shopper. Now, do I have that right? Is it a mystery church shopper or a secret church shopper?
I think you can call it either, but I called it mystery church shopper.
Yeah, and so just got me thinking, wow, I'd love to do a whole show on this because Beth has done something similar, set these up for her church, and so I thought, well, you know, let's just talk about this. So, Priscilla, I want to start with you. Explain what a mystery church shopper is and how an interested pastor could get one to come to their church.
Okay. The basic kind of genesis of mystery church shopping is in the business world, in retail and restaurant, mystery shoppers have been around for a long time. My very first job was at Shoney's Big Boy in Griffin, Georgia. And we used to have mystery church shoppers come in, and we'd try to identify who the mystery church shoppers were because you wanted to give them like exceptional service. But they would come in and rate everything about the restaurant. Was there toilet paper in the restrooms? Was the food brought hot and on time? All of these things were rated, and then you got that report back. The restaurant got that report back, and so basically that concept has been modified for churches, and there are actually consultants who will do mystery church shopping for you. And the way it started for me was we were looking in the Indiana Central District of the Wesleyan Church at how we could kind of evaluate and help churches. And the idea was that we would mystery church shop some of the growing churches, some of the churches that there were some positive things happening in, and then we could create a benchmark of good things that were happening in those churches that we could say, hey, you know what, these are some things that growing churches have in common, and maybe expand that out. And what we did was then we made it available to whomever would want. So any church on the district could invite me to come mystery church shop their church.
We were talking in the pre-show. There are some criticisms about this approach, and we're going to get into this a little bit later in the interview. I know that in my context in district leadership, churches and pastors get nervous whenever the word evaluation is tossed about. So I kind of have two questions that flow out of that. Do you think that this is a typical reaction among churches at large that goes beyond, my own anecdotal experience? And why do you think some churches and pastors frown on something like this?
I think it is, and one of the things that I do with the pastors is I let them know they can check with their board, because a lot of times the boards need to be in agreement that this is going to happen. But basically, they can't really tell anybody they're being shopped, and I'm not going to tell them when I'm going to show up. One day I'm going to show up at your church. So people don't like surprises, and so I think part of it is a little bit of that. Like, if they could plan it and manage it, they'd rather be evaluated under a situation that they can control. But the biggest press back that I've gotten is the same thing that I just said, is this used to be something that was really prevalent in restaurants and retail and has moved into the church. And the first thing people will say is, well, the church isn't a restaurant. You know, that consumeristic attitude shouldn't come in. And the challenge I have to that, having a business background, is, oh, okay, you don't want to use any business practices in your church. So you're counting your offering on an abacus. Okay. You don't use a smartphone, you don't use a computer, you don't use modern accounting practices. You know, it's not true that we don't use business practices in the church. It's just, do we want to be evaluated by them? So that's the press back that I get is, well, we're not a for-profit business and shouldn't be evaluated that way. But the press back is, but we take from business all the time, and business has taken from the church in terms of their practices. So, you know, we can share practices, and if it helps businesses to get better, businesses pay millions of dollars for shoppers, you know, so if it helps them to get better, why wouldn't it help the church to get better?
Yeah. You already brought up one of the criticisms. One of the criticisms is it's, you know, religious consumerism, and yet it seems to me that well, you sent me an audio from Wall Street Journal online, and it was about a 6-minute report. And one of the points that's made in that audio, and we've linked it to the show notes, is that we live in this particular culture. This is the culture the American church it finds itself in, and that the bottom line is this, that we are competing in the church with just the culture at large. And so it seems like that the debate is not worth having, because the reality is this is where we are. And a generation ago on Sundays, especially here in the Southeast, I mean, the church had no competition. And just speaking in purely business terms, that's not the case now. People, especially unchurched people, have lots of things that they can go to and they can attend. And I think that part of this approach, and you can correct me here or push back if you want, but part of this approach is to say that they have just come to a point of expectation, and when those expectations aren't met, they'll just go somewhere else because there's 1,000 other things to do on Sunday.
Right, and I think that we as a church should be the ones who are pursuing excellence above and beyond what people are even used to. And I don't mean production quality or that type of excellence, but I think that if it's not important to us, why should it be important to them?
Yeah.
So if we look like we just get up and threw something together, one church that I shopped, I had to be honest about this, they had a trio sing a special, and I think in the comments I said they had more key changes than a Motel 6. But it was so bad, and I just said, there is absolute no reason those three women should have been on that stage. And what happens is sometimes pastors get into a situation where people want to use their gifts, or they've been with the church for 100 years, and so they have to, or whatever. But there's the reality sometimes that a first-time visitor comes in and that's what they experience. Right. They don't care enough to have heard those people practice, then they don't care enough about this thing they call their religion. Why should I spend any time with that?
Yeah. Beth, let me turn to you. Explain to our listeners what Alive has done in this area, and what the role you've played in that and setting people up to come mystery shop the church.
Yeah. Well, we've really kind of taken this idea from other places and hearing about it. Mark Waltz, who was on the show, some of his books talk about this. And it really started, we realized we were not being intentional about the guests showing up at our church. We didn't know how many guests were coming. We put greeters at the door, but we didn't know if they were doing a good job or anything. So this summer, we had a guest shopper come, and some of the feedback was a little, ouch, you know, ugh. And we started realizing we've got to do better. We can do better. We had a consultant come in, and that was one of the things that he talked about, even in his experience of coming to the church. Look, you know, honestly, from a visitor's perspective, things aren't that great. And of course, no one wants to hear that because you think you're awesome. Like,
right.
We have greeters and they're really nice. And, you know, we know where we're going. What's wrong with our signs? So we really started to become intentional. And so in August, implemented a whole new hospitality system. And so as part of that, we're at the place now where we're saying, okay, so how are we doing with our hospitality system? And so beginning to bring people in to secret shop for us and go through our hospitality system and then give us feedback on it.
And part of this is fresh eyes.
Absolutely.
Because we get acclimated to our surroundings.
Absolutely.
And after a while, we don't see the things that are glaring
Yeah.
to people who've never been there
Right.
before.
And, you know, the reality is that church people are going to tell you if something's wrong. They're more than willing to share their thoughts, you know, but guests you're not going to hear from them. And unless you are intentional about listening and you're their advocate, you won't make decisions in the church based on them if you've never even heard what they have to say. And so we really realized it was about intentionality and being proactive for us.
In the pre-show, Priscilla, I was just making mention out of this Wall Street Journal audio that you sent me, that in there they say, according to, let me look here, a Pew Forum on Religion and Public Life, that half of Americans have changed denominations. And so this gets back to this whole consumer aspect of the church. But in the pre-show, you were talking that there's more recent research that kind of goes beyond this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, both Pew and Barna have both had research come out that has said that not only are people switching their switching denominations, but they're switching, I mean, people are going from mainline to charismatic and you know, going like that, but they're also going to other religions. So people are switching from a mainline denomination to a what we would have considered, you know, either cultic or I don't know how to say it, but, you know, other religions,
right.
Other world religions, and combining those. So it's okay to be a Buddhist, what did I say earlier? That
a Presbyterian.
Yeah, somebody told me they were a Presbyterian Buddhist, and I'm like, really? That'd be weird. But, you know, and so people who mix, like somebody told me one time, oh, we didn't go to church today, we just did yoga. And nice. Apparently that's okay, you know, because that's a spiritual practice. So so people think that, you know, it's okay as long as you're being spiritual.
Yeah.
So as people are leaving the church and people are truly, truly seeking spirituality, they really do want, they seek that connection with that higher power. But if we're not helping them to experience that, and it might just be because the line to the nursery was too long and so they missed worship or whatever. If we're not helping people to come into the presence of God, what's our purpose? You know, so it's not that is what the church is, but it is what's going to help people become part of the church. You're not going to assimilate people into your church who don't get through the line in the nursery.
I'm curious, I would ask this of both of you. In this Wall Street Journal article, they talk about there are actually secular companies that will send mystery church shoppers, and I'm curious. I didn't know this till just this morning, so I was a little blown away by it. I mean, what do you guys think? Should the mystery church shopper be someone who's familiar with the church culture, or can someone who doesn't know anything about the church, maybe doesn't even attend church, come be the mystery church shopper?
Well, in my opinion, I actually, when I first started putting this program together, tried to think of ways we could employ people to do this who were outside the church. Of course, that kind of turns into an evangelistic, you know, opportunity to say, oh, we can get them into the church, and they're not, but I thought...
Well, okay, but it could work the opposite way, Priscilla. If the impression is so bad, you may scare them from the church forever.
That is true. But I thought, what about finding out through the court system people who needed to do community service, or, how could we get some, because we had people come to Skyline to do community service, and they did filing and stuff like that, and I thought, have them attend a church service, but I think that there is also a benefit to people who know the church somewhat. The form that I created to do the church shopping by, which is available on the, what is it now? It's the CMAD site on the Wesleyan Church. I think I sent you the link a while back. Anyway, based on Stan Toller's 5-Star Church thing. When I put that together, a lot of those things are things that only a churched person would get.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of wondering. I mean, Beth, you have any thoughts on that?
I think for us, we're very new at this, but we're looking at what are the guests in our community, what are they experiencing, and the people we want. So we've used friends of church people who come, and sometimes they are friends that person has been trying to get, and this is a way to say, hey, obviously we're not trying to manipulate someone. Somebody recently told me he's an unchurched guy. I just spoke with him on the phone. He's coming in December, and his friend agreed to promote his steam riverboat experience that he's going to put on YouTube. If he would come do this for her, she would do that for him. I'm not saying this is a great way to go, but I am saying for us, we're kind of doing a little bit of both. One is, for us, how would a person who is a minority in our congregation, whether that's ethnically, socioeconomically, whatever, what is their experience? So that's a family that we've lined up for December. What is an unchurched person experience? What is someone who is what a lot of people call de-churched? What are they experiencing? And so we're looking for people in our community. We haven't gotten to the actually employing or getting a business, but more, what are the people going through our hospitality system going to be?
And so a pretty wide swath, you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I hadn't thought of this, because you can go both ways on this. I mean, there is such a thing as church culture.
Yes.
And so there are good things about church culture, but I could also see something positive about someone who has no idea about church culture.
Yeah.
And, they come into the situation. What are their impressions?
Right.
Now, let me go another direction with the church culture and throw another question in that's been on my mind as I hear we all talk about this. Different churches are ministering to different cultures. So how does, from the person who is that mystery church shopper, how do you rate a church effectively, knowing that there are dramatic differences in how church can be done or should be done depending on who that congregation is ministering to? Does that make any sense? Depending on their community. I mean, you're not going to have an ultra contemporary church, 10 miles closer to Table Rock than we are right now, and expect that that's going to be effective. So how does the shopper's personality play into that, or stay out of that?
Yeah, I mean, Priscilla, is there kind of a generic approach that would work in every setting? Because I'm not even quite sure what you're looking for when you go in. Well,
the form that I worked off of, and I think my video went down. Sorry about that.
It did.
I have no idea why, but anyway, the questions aren't so much, did I enjoy the worship, or was the worship contemporary enough? But like the worship service is rated by, the worship leader and team, for example, was the music balanced? Were they outwardly focused on the congregation? Was it authentic and genuine worship? Were they connecting with God? Did the song selection fit the theme, feel of service, and was it singable? Were there transitions between the songs from worship to prayer and announcements? And were the demographics diverse? Now that part's not going to always happen, because you may not be in a very diverse community. And then just different things, like, was the audio soft, loud, or quality? Did the worship service flow well? all the way to if there were pre-service slides, were they easy to read? Were the lyrics to the songs available?
Wow.
I mean, there are just different things like that that aren't necessarily one of the churches I attended was very okay. If you head just north of Indianapolis, you are in Gaither country. It's the Gaithers live there, So you go, you're singing out of the Gaither hymnal. Then
I love that hymnal. That's my favorite hymnal.
we went another church where it was uber contemporary, and there's two long-haired kids playing a mandolin and a guitar, and I don't think there was a drummer that day, so it was just that. And, in both situations, I can still say that worship was authentic. I believe, it didn't have to be, and honestly, I'm not a Gaither person, but, I could still say the songs were appropriate to that day's service. They actually took care in choosing them, so it led me into worship. And then during the sermon, I could, I had this whole experience as opposed to just 3 songs in a sermon. They just pick 3 songs randomly, or whatever. So I think you can still do it even in very diverse circumstances.
Yeah. I would ask both of you, so if someone's listening to this podcast and you've kind of tweaked their interest and they're not quite, think, well, maybe I should do this, maybe I shouldn't. So make the case for them. Beth, I'll start with you. So why should a pastor, why should a church go through this? And then when you're done, we'll let Priscilla field the same question.
I think that when you put yourself in the position of a guest who's showing up, they're coming maybe hoping you're going to save their family. They're coming with hurt. They're coming wanting to experience something different. Most people are coming wanting community. They may have, in our culture, we have opportunity for that, the Lions Club or things like that, but we're increasingly becoming that generation, that bowling alone, phenomenon. People want to know there's a place where someone's going to love them because there's a God that loves them. Yeah. And so if we are serious about loving the people who walk in our doors, then we have to know who they are, what they're looking for, and how we can break down those barriers. And, we're not saying that Jesus isn't countercultural. Jesus is countercultural. There may be things that they hear that are scriptural that offend them, and that's okay. But like Priscilla was saying, if there's no toilet paper in the bathroom, if the line for the nursery was too long, if I had to drive around the parking lot 10 times to find a parking space, if not one single person greeted me, then we are the barrier to the gospel that morning, not something else. And so to me, it's really putting feet to what we say we're passionate about and what we say we believe. And this is a way of taking an honest look. And no one likes evaluation. But, sometimes evaluation is encouraging. Sometimes I was greeted 10 times, and I loved that. So it's an opportunity to learn what we're doing well and what we can do better.
Yeah. What would you add to that, Priscilla?
I think that Beth made a really good case for why to do it, and so I'm just going to add one why not to do it. If you want a weapon to use to get your board to change things, don't do a mystery church shopper.
Ooh, go into that a little bit, yeah.
I think that a lot of times, and I've actually not done one, actually, because it was, I want to change some things around here. Because the challenge is, with the change process, the pastor needs to be the change agent. And if things need to change, the pastor needs to be the person that says things need to change. If you bring in an outside consultant who says, this wasn't right and that wasn't right, it's really easy as soon as they walk out the door to say, well, they were full of hooey. We don't have to listen to them. But it's kind of hard to say the pastor's full of hooey and we don't have to listen to him. So I think that's the biggest thing is check your motives and do this because you want to be excellent and you want to reach people who wouldn't be reached if you didn't do it.
What resources would either one of you recommend if someone wants to do further research on this? Go with you.
Well,
Go ahead, Priscilla.
I sent you the podcast and the article from the Wall Street Journal, so that's up there.
Yep.
And all of the Mystery Church Shopper stuff came out of Stan Toller's 5-Star Church book. It's kind of dated, but it's still a good resource, and you can probably get it for pretty cheap because it's kind of dated. But that would be a good place to start.
All right. All right, Beth, anything? Any recommendations?
I'd say Mark Waltz's stuff is great. Inside North Point, I have a ton of documents available for what they do. Just blogs like Tony Morgan Live, a lot of times he'll have stuff on there that's data, statistics. Okay. Lifeway does great studies on guests and visitors. So.
Okay, well, good. Priscilla, thanks so much. I know this has been crunch time for your studies, so you have really done us a favor by joining us this week.
Thanks for having me.
All right, Lord bless. All right, I'm going to transition here. We're going to pull Stevan in, Stevan Sheets in a moment. I just real quick want to say, when you said that you just talked about these things, maybe someone had to go around the parking lot 10 times, they weren't greeted or whatever, and then you said, we become the hindrance to the gospel. I don't think that it kind of hit me, like kind of a slap in the face, because we don't look at those things as hindrances to the gospel.
Yeah.
But the point is that they can become those things. Yeah. Interesting. All right. So this week we are not going to do They Said It, nor are we going to do whatever else we do. Download of the week. This is the rest of the show. We're going to talk about our Christmas list, our 2012 Christmas list, gadgets or things that we would recommend to our listeners to put on your Christmas list for this year.
The goal is not so much that you buy us these things, but rather that these are options for you if you're saying, okay, what can we do? What can I get somebody for Christmas? Well, here's the answer, brother. So trying to get Stevan here. I think we got him coming in just a second.
So now, but if they want to buy us a Christmas present,
we're not saying don't buy us a Christmas present. We'll take a Christmas present.
Hey, Stevan.
Hello.
All right, a little bit. You can hear us all right. There was kind of a little bit of a delay on that. Hello.
I'm sorry. Yep, I'm good now. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we're good. All right. Well, let's get rolling and just kind of go around the table because we've all brought something to the table. And Tony, let's start with you.
All right. So, if you don't have a tablet computer, my recommendation is the Nexus 7. It's 16 gigabyte. It's $199. Now, why? Well, let me just say this: there are two other. You can get the 32 gig for $249.
Why not?
Or you can, you can also get the 32 gig with cell, which is I believe $299. But you don't get very much data on that. I'm just telling you right now. Why this? Number one, price point. And that it's just a good price point at $200. Also, I do think there's some strengths to the Android system right now. I think it's voice recognition, and you can do a Google search with the voice. You can dictate emails, things of that nature. And also, I think that the latest Android operating system, which is called Jelly Bean, I think that now we can begin to say that there is a mobile operating system out there that's on equal footing with iOS, Apple's mobile operating system. For a long time, I mean, Apple has ruled the day, but I think equity has come. So if you're looking for a tablet,
yeah, now that's your recommendation, but now let's have Stevan push back because that's not what he's saying. Yeah. So Stevan.
I saw Tony's list before I started making my own, and
lean the other direction there, Stevan. lean the other way. Lean the other way. Lean your head. Lean. No, other way. Other way. Lean. Keep going.
There we go.
Keep going. There. Now talk. Oh, a little bit more.
I don't.
Stevan has no idea what's going on.
We have a picture up, so there. Now we can see you and the fire. Go ahead.
Go for it.
No, I'm gonna hide behind the tablet. I saw Tony's list before I started making my own, and he's had his hands on the Nexus 7. I haven't, and I'm actually hiding out right now in my little girl's room. here at home, and we are actually going to be buying her a Kindle Fire HD for Christmas. So it's on my list because I was hoping that somebody from the show, watching the show, would buy it for us. We talked about it enough. I think Amazon's ecosystem, in tandem with the Android ecosystem, is going to be the selling point for us on this because of the book. Yeah, I know you can read. I read books on my tablet, and it's not a Kindle. But for a child, for our child, some of the parental controls that Kindle or that Amazon has designed into the Kindle is why we're going with it.
Okay.
Well, and that also, we should say, on both of these tablets, you and I recommend they have the front-facing cameras. Skype runs on it. So I'm really happy about this because we're going to see if we can set up a secret interview with your daughter on her Kindle Fire HD, and just kind of get some dirt on you and your wife.
Nice.
She'll be in the same bedroom.
Again, the parental controls will take care of those issues.
So that you guys came in, your first things that you wanted to talk about, $200 a piece for both of those things, whatever you do. I'm going to give you now a budget-minded option.
Oh,
so let me switch to let me switch to the right camera, and
that's Beth.
That's Beth. That's right. There we go. Okay,
there's my Christmas present. This is
here we go. So this is what I bring to the table at $5.99. I kid you not. Now,
yes, I agree.
The best in-ear headphones at a super low cost.
Yep.
So yeah, there are things like Shure and Bose and all these companies that make that you could get them with your Kindle Fires and Nexus 7s for $199 for a set of headphones. $6. These things are fantastic.
Yep.
And what I've found, like a set of headphones that comes with an iPod or something that kind of sits inside of your ear but doesn't actually go into the ear socket, I guess you'd say, into your ear hole so much. They fall out. Like, I can't keep them on, so it's got to be either over the ear or in ear. Well, I'm not going to, like right now for this, what we're doing in here, I monitor our recording using these over-the-ear headphones because that's what I prefer, but I'm not going to go running with this on my head. It's just not going to work right.
And I would like to see that.
I don't understand why not.
On the side,
So awesome.
I'm sure that they'd absorb all kinds of awesome sweat and other goop. But these are great for that. They come with three different three different sizes to fit your different ears. They sound spectacular. I mean, for what you're getting at $6, they are absolutely fantastic. The other reason I love these things is because they're hackable. And I have modded these both for myself and for you, Tony, taking the headset that comes with your iPhone or whatever that has that microphone built in. These you can pop the ends off of, and with a soldering tool, you can actually solder these earbuds onto the cord that comes with, if you want to just get really hacky, onto the cord that comes with your phone, and now you've got that microphone built in with these earbuds. They are, I mean, if you use headphones, this is going to be the best $6 you've ever spent.
When I went to those, when you recommended those, when I was jogging, I was using the stock ones that came. Like you said, they kind of set here. Those were so nice because you don't get the wind. You don't, it's down in the ear.
Yeah, they're fantastic. So they're not noise canceling, but they are certainly noise isolating because of the way that they work. They really are a great little set of earphones. Now, JLab has put out all kinds of others. Those are the J1s, the original. They've got all the way up to, I think they're up to J6s now. But honestly, I've tried a couple of the other ones. They're more expensive, and they're not as good as the J1s. The J1s are the best. I bought
a pair that went on sale for $18 and tried them, and to me, and maybe I don't have a discerning ear, but it wasn't worth the extra money.
No, and I don't feel like they sit in my ear as well as these do. These are just, I mean, they made a great first run of this product, and that's what you should get. So, JLab J1.
Where'd you find them?
By the way, everything that we're talking about today, with the exception of the Nexus 7, I believe you can get it off of Amazon. So Amazon.com for that product.
We
and
linked
for
everything on the show notes.
we're gonna have at the end of the show. It'll be in our post at the end of the day, and you can go
Just
get each one of those things. Right.
Yeah. All right, my next one here. This might sound like a strange one, but it's a little device that I've grown to love. It's my OBI 100 VoIP telephone. So that. I don't pay any monthly fee for telephone at all. That cost me 30 or well, it's cost me $40. I didn't have to pay for shipping because I have the Prime membership on Amazon. If you're gonna have that shipped, it's going to cost you anywhere from $5 to $10. Master TG here helped me.
Put you onto this. Everything that's on this list, just about, are things that I've recommended for you. Isn't that great?
I owe my life to you.
I know.
So in this, I have been more than happy. So I expected I'd have some glitches and stuff. My very first phone call was a glitch. Outside of that, this has worked beautifully, and I used it. I just pair it up with a Google Voice number.
Let's talk about what it is real quick. It's not, as you can see by that picture, it's not technically a telephone. Like it's not an Obi-Wan telephone. You're not going to walk around with that up to your head. This is a little box that sits next to your internet router. On one, it's got on the back of it, it's got a power supply port, so plug it in. Then you plug the Ethernet from your cable modem or your wireless router or whatever into the Ethernet port. Then it's got a phone port, and you can tie that into your home phone system if you want to. That's how you've got it set up here, where any of your phone ports in the house can actually run off this. Then it'll take any telephone with a standard thing. You set it up with your Google Voice account, which you can get for free. Google provides that for free. You can call anywhere in the U.S. and where else? Is it U.S. and Canada? U.S. and Canada at no cost. It doesn't cost a thing to dial that number. You can get a local number to where you are, and you can make phone calls absolutely easy. And if you're going outside of the country, they're very cheap phone calls through Google Voice, and it just works off your regular telephone. Really, really cool. I actually want to, Beth, I was thinking about talking to like Greg and Heidi and the other folks down there. You could get a local number and actually have a telephone in Haiti that would ring when you call an 864 number off a regular telephone call.
Awesome.
Wouldn't that be cool?
It'd be a local phone call.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
So there it is. That's my second recommendation.
Stevan.
Good. My second recommendation is also another $199, and it's the GoPro Hero 2 HD. It's the brand new GoPro. There is the number 3 is already out. I don't think it's going to be out by Christmas, but or it's already being talked about, but it's not out. But as a dad with this, I've always wanted a GoPro. As a guy who likes gadgety stuff, I've always wanted a GoPro. I don't have one. So if anyone wants to get me one, that would be wonderful.
I'm noticing a theme in your Christmas list here, Stevan. It's $200 devices that you want somebody else to buy for you.
Yes, and I'm not ashamed in asking you to buy me one, TG. I would appreciate it.
Wow.
I love it.
All right. Well, those are pretty sturdy little things too, aren't they? Those
they're indestructible. I mean, if you watch if you subscribe to any YouTube channels, chances are many of the shots from lots of YouTube stars, lots of people who post videos on YouTube are shot with GoPros, mostly underwater, which is shot on GoPros. They're waterproof. They have waterproof houses if you get the certain models.
And, mounts for your bike helmet or for your bicycle, like, so all kinds of different ways you can make those things up.
Yeah, wait, like the head mount, that'd be cool. Take that to a staff meeting, Beth. Walk in one day.
That was in staff
Tom,
meeting.
I'm just trying to do a training video here, so I'm going to put the camera on.
All right, well, let's move on. So is it my turn now?
It is.
All right, we're back to me. So here we go on my pick number 2. Now this one's a little bit more expensive than my J1s, but everything that I'm sharing with you today is under $100. This is a mobile battery pack, and it comes in many different sizes and different price points, but this one's $30, and I actually have one with me here. What's fantastic about this is if you are, well, let me just say, if you have somebody in your life who has a lot of little toys, little gadgets, and you don't know, well, what could I get for them? This would be an option. And the reason it's cool is it's got a standard USB port on it, so it will power anything. It's unlike a case. You can get like a battery case for your phone that will extend the battery, but it's only specific to that phone. This you can power anything off of it, and it's come in super handy. So again, I talk about going outside of the country. The battery backup generators on Loganoff died, and this was a great way to recharge my phone at night. When the power was on during the day, I'd charge this little guy, and then at night plug the phone into it, let it charge up the phone, so that I could use it for video and pictures and things like that. And it's great. I've used it to charge a Kindle, used it to charge an iPad, used it to charge my phone. Talk about the time when at General Conference. I actually handed this off to you, and you used it.
Yeah, we were having trouble with the live feed, so you needed me to use my iPhone to produce the live feed, right. And of course we were concerned about it just draining the juice out of the phone. So you said, "Hey, take this." So I just plugged it in, and I didn't have. I mean, at the end of the day, I had a full charge on my phone. You know. Yeah. So
it's great. It really is a good little thing. Now, it's not as convenient as actually having a case that your phone would slip into. I can see where there's a benefit to that, but the versatility that this gives and being able to power the things, that and it has a light on it. I don't know why that's important, but it has a flashlight. So not only can you power your device. I think we just
sold Stevan on that.
I think we got
mine on Amazon. Use your affiliate link.
These things are fantastic. So this one is, let's see, what did I write down here? It is a 5,200 watt hour or milliamp hour battery, but they make them bigger than that. They get more or less expensive. The reason I chose this brand, it was the most bang at a great review for the buck. I knew I had about X amount of dollars to spend, $30. I wanted to get the biggest battery I could get that was the best reviewed, and this was it. It's been fantastic. I've had it for coming up on a year here now, and it's been absolutely great.
You can get cheaper ones. I doubt that you would be as satisfied, though.
Yeah, this really is just a good little thing.
Yep. All right, is it back to me?
Back to you.
Back to me. All right, so now I'm gonna. You notice with me, there's a trend. I started out at $200, but I keep dropping the price here. So I am just high on the iPod Shuffle 2nd generation. Now I don't know anything about the 3rd and 4th generation at shuffles, so it's not against them.
We're actually into the 5th now, which is actually reverted back to the 2nd generation design.
Okay.
Actually, I have, yeah.
So this is why I recommend this. I bought an MP3 player, and I got it at a great deal for like $17, and this right after I started jogging. In 3 months, it was just trash. I mean, it blipped out. So I spent $40 at the time and bought one of these. This has been almost 3 years ago now. I have run in the rain in this thing. I've been in the coldest weather. Our friend Paul Brown has one of these. My wife cleans for him. She has washed his 3 times. And they don't market it as waterproof, but it is just, it's virtually, for me, it's been indestructible. And you can now get it for $17 plus shipping if you're a jogger. So if you're a runner, or you're big into exercise but you want to listen to music, this is, I mean,
that most current gen is a little bit smaller, but they brought all those controls right back to it. It's almost exactly the same thing, and it's got a little bit more capacity, and it's starting at $50 right now.
And the only reason I'm hesitant to recommend any others, I don't know how they'll do in the rain and the weather.
Yeah, well, it's again exact same design, so I have to imagine that it's comparable. But you were noticing with those cheaper ones, sweat and stuff. Just that
sweat
little bit of water.
Trashed mine. Yeah. That's exactly what happened. Yeah. It got wet because of sweat, and it blipped out on me. So, never been dissatisfied. If it broke tomorrow, I'd go out and buy another one.
All right, Stevan, we're back to you, sir.
All right.
What else do you want for Christmas?
Yeah.
It's called a Priscilla, a 3-channel RC helicopter.
Oh, sorry, wrong picture.
Not the correct picture.
Hold on. Oh, I'm working on it. You just keep talking.
Okay. That's okay. Right now on Amazon, everyone gets you a 3-channel, little this size. I actually have 2 of them already. One my sister purchased for me, or got for me, and another one I bought before I knew she was getting me one. And this is a fun little office toy for me. It impresses my children and impresses others who walk into my office. And I'm into flying toys, so it's something that I enjoy.
Your internet connection is so awesome. It's like blipping in and out as we're going, so we're commenting on how you sound like the ghost of Christmas past on our end. And let me recommend that you put your Christmas money towards upping your bandwidth at your house.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, you shouldn't be hiding out in the room. I'm just saying. So again, were you able to get a picture of that?
No, I don't know what happened to my picture. I had one, but now I don't. So, but it $20.75, I believe, was the price I saw for it there on Amazon, and it looks fun. Those kind of like the things that they have in the mall when you go visit the mall. Yeah. There's somebody flying around with them.
Don't buy it at the mall because you'll pay $60 for the same thing.
Okay, so buy it off Amazon.
So could you strap a little camera to that and then have
camera? Actually, I did buy a keychain SD, video camera, but I haven't tried it yet.
Oh,
Okay.
Yet, right? Yet.
Yes.
Right.
Let us know how that works out. Okay.
Okay.
Here we go. Next one for me, in actuality, my final recommendation.
All right.
Another thing for the more geeky, technical person in your life, if they like to tinker around once they get their toys and take their toys apart, is this fun fellow. This is a 32 precision bit set.
Yep.
Everybody who messes with any sort of electronics should have
I agree.
a nice precision bit set. This thing, I bought it 2 years ago. I went back and looked, actually, in 2010, and it has been, I'm unable to calculate how many times I've used this, how great it is for when you have to dig into something. So it's not too expensive, $11.50, and it just comes in handy over and over and over again. You have a set.
Yeah, well, let me ask you, do you feel like yours is pretty solid?
Yeah.
So I got one, even cheaper than that, but I feel like I got what I paid for. And so it's not real, it's not real solid. Things don't click in. Really.
I love this. I've never had like one of the bits pop out or anything like that. It's really been a great little set.
Yeah, I need to take a look at that because
Yeah.
I've been just
the
a little
only
displeased.
thing that I wish that it had that it doesn't is a pentalobe driver, but that is specific to Apple. I mean, they're the only people that
How
use
many
that.
times have I
So-
said I need a pencil?
gosh.
I know.
I was just saying that this morning. My way
How
here.
freaky is that?
Oh my gosh. I'm so excited about this thing. That's so on my list.
All right, so a pentalobe is the screw that's now in the bottom of your MacBooks that you'd buy today, in the bottom of your phones from Apple.
Okay.
So for me, because I'm around these kind of things, if I ever have to take one apart, it becomes tricky trying to get a different bit to unscrew that screw. You can buy pentalobe drivers, but you'd have to buy them in a separate purchase. They don't come in any of the bit sets that I've found that are at this price point. I think that like iFixit makes a big bit set, but it's like $40 or $50. Whereas I'd rather buy the $11.50 bit set and then buy the $2 pentalobe driver that would just be on the side. Yeah.
All right. Well, I had all kinds of choices here, so I can give one more. I think we have time for that. It's a book I recommend. I read it this year, and I don't think you'll be disappointed at all. It's Bonhoeffer, Pastor, Martyr, Prophet, Spy by Eric Metaxas. If you are a person, you say, it's thick. It's like 600 or 700 pages, and you look at that and you say, oh my word. You can also go to Audible.com. They have it, and if you don't have a subscription, you can get for I think 3 months introductory subscription for $7 a month, and then after those 3 months, you can decide if you want to keep it or not. It's going to up to $15 a month, but it'd be worth it just to get this on audiobook, and that's basically how I consumed the book. It was, when I was jogging in the mornings, I would just listen to it. And it's going to challenge you at so many levels, this book will, in terms of devotion, in terms of doctrine and theology. What's the nature of the church? What does it mean to be part of the Church of Jesus Christ? Metaxas has done a spectacular job. You will not be disappointed. This is one of those books that you should get on your library.
You actually mentioned another book, and I'd like to just go ahead and bring it up because of the price that it's coming in at, and I think that it's a good buy right now, and that's The Circle Maker. The Kindle version right now is $4. That's Mark Batterson book, so worth the purchase.
I got the Audible for $4.
Yeah. So what you can do, too, if you're unaware of this, you can actually gift Kindle books. Just be careful when you do that. We learned the hard way. One wrong letter in somebody's email address, and that book you've bought, and nobody can claim it. So basically, if you were to gift one, you say, hey, I want to buy this, but not for myself. I want to send it to this person's email address. They would get it. They could open it up on their Kindle. But, Tony, I think you can speak. We learned the hard way one time.
Yeah, I had someone tell me, well, no, you can't get that money back, and I never have. But I think I could if I would just stick with tech support long enough. But I just didn't have the time, and I never went back to it. So, All right, it's Stevan. Stevan, I thought this one. This is kind of like the gift that keeps on giving. His fourth one here.
It's a no-brainer. Everything we talked about so far has been on Amazon and gift cards. You can send increments on Amazon, choose it or your own. If you have that one item that you're like, I think this is what you like, you can send them a gift card for exactly that amount of money and a picture of the thing you thought they would want. Or you can send them a gift card for $189.
What did you say, 159?
$108.
Still didn't get it.
99.
Yeah, you keep breaking up on us, man, and so it's.
Sorry,
we know what you're talking about because TG put the graphic up there, and we're getting the passion, and we're thinking that you wouldn't mind this as a gift. Yeah, we have actually gotten to where for Christmas Amazon gift cards. They have so much you can buy through Amazon,
Right?
And
You can get groceries. I ordered coffee from Amazon just this week.
yeah, what can't you get on Amazon?
Yeah.
All right, so
Kind of rounds us out there. I think we actually touched everything except the Kindle Paperwhite, which was another one of yours. Do you want to hit it real quick?
If you're going to get an e-reader, I would just say get the Paperwhite. And the only reason I say that is because it's backlit as well, and it's getting good reviews. And so with a regular e-reader, Kindle e-reader, you don't have a light source on it. So if the lights are out, you have to have a light source. With the Paperwhite, you don't.
And I think that strictly book reading though is what this is for. So like if you know somebody who likes to they're just passionate about reading, this is what's the best out there right now.
Agreed. Let me real quick here talk about an email we got last week. We talked about the Holman Bible, and I just said on air, I have no idea what the Holman Bible is. I had a student who read from it, and I asked him, well, what version are you reading from? And he said the Holman. And Jeremy Gertis emailed in and he said, hey, I was listening to this week's Technology show and caught your comments about the Holman Bible, i.e. the Holman Christian Standard Bible. I use this as my primary preaching and teaching text. Lifeway bought the rights of the HCSB when it was still very immature and dumped a lot of resources into it to develop it into a full translation so that they could have a translation using modern language that didn't involve them paying royalties to IBS or Zondervan. And this is what Zondervan wanted royalties and IBS did every time they used the NIV reference. And also he goes on, he had a very long email, he goes on to say that with the 2011 version of the NIV, the 1984 version, they're not publishing anymore. And so for some people, as long as they were making this kind of transition, and for him, this is what he's done. And we just talked last week with Lifeway. They are working really hard to create their own ecosystem of books.
Yeah,
I'm not sold on, but the one benefit was
that's the backbone.
That it is.
Yeah, that every book that they have, if there's a scripture reference, that's the backbone of it all, and it'll all tie in with that. I'd like to know a little bit more about who's on the translation committee originally and all of that for the translation. But I did know that it was theirs because if you go into a Lifeway, they'll sell you just about any translation, any acceptable translation, but they have a lot of Holman right up front. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just wasn't aware, man. I'm not a loop on that. All right. Just letting you know what's coming up. Next week we have with us Dr. Joanne Lyon. She's General Superintendent of the Wesleyan Church, and she's with me on the show every week right here. And then rounding out the month, we will have Phil Stevenson, and he will be here to talk about his book, The Ripple Church, Multiply Your Ministry by Parenting New Churches. And this is something that he really has lived out. When he has pastored, they've worked hard and had daughter churches, multiple daughter churches off of the churches that he has pastored. And so that will be a good topic of discussion. All right, Beth, thank you for coming in this week. If our listeners want to find you on the internet, where might they try?
They can find me on Facebook and on Twitter at EM Peterson.
All right.
And email me.
Teej.
You can find me at MatthewTG.com.
All right, you can find me.
What about our brother Stevan? He's still on the line with us.
At Twitter at AKC64.
We have this good picture of him.
Stevan, where can our listeners find you?
StevanSheets.com.
All right. Hey, Stevan, thanks so much. It's good seeing you and hearing from you. We haven't had a chance to talk too much here recently, but, man, we got to have you on more.
Thanks. It was a pleasure.
All right. Have a happy Thanksgiving. All right. If you want to do any further research on anything we discussed today, you can find all the links to the stories we covered at our website, thetechnologyshow.com. If you want to contact us like Jeremy did, send your emails to thetechnologyshow@gmail.com. Or better yet, why don't you call us at 3049-TECHnology. That's 304-986-5649. If you want to really give Matthew a Christmas present, we will do it.
Nobody ever calls this number, and it's so awesome. So call the number.
And they're getting where we're getting more emails.
I know.
Which is
so
great.
they're getting braver, and we can just get them to talk to us.
What do they hear when they call?
It's a voicemail, so it'll just say, "Hey, you called the Technology Show. Thanks for calling. Leave your message after the beep." And you leave your comment on the show, and then that's a way for us to for Jeremy, if he'd called and said, "Hey, this is what the Holman Bible is all about," we'd have played that rather than read his email. Right?
Yeah, and last week or a week before we had Paul Tillman, who it was last week.
Talked about Wesley Seminary.
Yeah, and just gave us great feedback. And part of the reason that we ask for emails and we ask for the voicemails is to just give us feedback. I mean, there's no way that we can get all the information out there.
Right.
Sometimes we can crowdsource this. You can help us on certain stories and give us information that we don't otherwise have. All right. Well, as always, we want to thank you for joining us. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Bye.